how you guys doing? My name is Chris Matthews. I'm your relationship coach and licensed marriage and family therapist. In this video, I'm going to talk about the utilization of power within an intimate relationship. So power is important because people are going to be in positions within the relationship where they're held at a different standard or light than their partner at some moment or time. This video is going to go into the 5 different types of power and how they can be utilized in a relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and start with one of the types of power that I don't advise couples utilize in their relationship. That power is going to be coercive power. So coercive power, or the use of coercive power, is usually designed to punish, belittle, or make one partner feel less than in the event they don't obey the wishes of another partner. So it's also called blackmailing. And some partners do it and don't even know it. So for example, there's a common story that comes to mind. There was a couple who had been married for over 20 years, and the husband described how on certain holidays he had to do everything right or his wife would punish him. So as we dug deeper, he shared how, for example, on Valentine's Day, her birthday, if he didn't get the appropriate flowers, jewelry, candy, made the reservations at the top star restaurant, then she would deny him sex that evening. And sometimes, even if he did everything right and she just didn't desire him intimately that evening, she would then make it out to be his fault by saying the restaurant was the wrong choice, or she wanted red flowers versus white flowers. And in that moment, she was using coercive power to punish him or belittle him in the event he didn't do exactly what she asked. And on an extreme level, coercive power can be used if one partner is the breadwinner or the financial provider, and they use money as leverage to make the partner do something they want. Another example that comes to mind, once again, very extreme. It was a couple I was counseling. The female partner was from another country. She wasn't a citizen. The male partner would threaten to revoke her ability to be in the country if she didn't do what he asked, or what he called it stepping out of line. So I don't advise coercive power, and there are different magnitudes of that power, but at the end of the day, it strips the respect that you have for your partner when using that type of power. The next type of power in relationships is reward power. I love reward power because it's more of a tit for tat. You do this for me, I do this for you. It's a compromise. So the use of reward power is more about an exchange. So in my own marriage, we use this type of power a lot because we're balancing work, family, and a lot of other responsibilities. So when my wife is extremely tired or she needs somewhat of a night off, she'll use her reward power with me. She'll say, hey, Chris, if you cook dinner, get the kids ready for bath, make sure the homework's done, then tomorrow I'll make sure that I cook, and not only am I going to cook, but I'm going to make one of your favorite dishes. And then I'll say, okay, well, that's a great trade-off. So I get the reward of her cooking a dish or a meal that she usually doesn't make in exchange for giving her the night off with the responsibilities that we have in the house. Reward power could also be in exchange for intimacy and connection. One couple that I counseled, the man came in the session and he and his wife were in a healthy relationship. And he asked me as a clinician, well, Chris, can you help increase the frequency of sex that I have with my wife? So in the process, working with that couple, I asked the female partner what her needs were. And she said when she feels more connected to her husband, she desires to have sex more. So I asked, and we continued to go a little bit deeper, what can he do or what activities lead her to feeling more connected? She shared how when he wakes up earlier in the morning and talks to her while she gets ready for work, because she goes to work at an earlier time than he does. So he doesn't have to get up as early. He could sleep for another hour and a half to 2 hours before he has to get up. So 3 nights out of the week, she guaranteed that she would present herself intimately, set the mood and make sure that she would engage in sex with her husband if on those 3 mornings he would wake up early and engage with her emotionally, listen and talk to her while she got ready for work. That was the use of reward power. He was rewarded through sex, but she was rewarded through the connection and intimacy. Now, one of the things the partners don't know, as a clinician, it was really fun working with this couple because the hypothesis or the tested theory was she would be more desiring to have sex because he was offering a connection that was missing in the relationship when he chose to sleep in versus get up in the morning and talk to her. So through talking and engaging with his wife, she naturally increased the level of sex and intimacy because she felt closer to him. So that was a systemic second order change approach where the system actually was altered and a new rule was created. And that rule looked like when the male partner engages emotionally, not only is he going to have more sex with his wife, but those sexual experiences are going to be of a higher gratification because she's involved in the experience. For her, it's no longer a chore. It's something that she naturally wants to provide because he chose to connect with her intimately and emotionally that morning. So reward power is awesome. And I really suggest that couples use that type of power in their relationship. The next type of power is expert power. This power usually lies in one partner's ability to have a greater level of, or a greater amount of knowledge in a particular area than the other partner. So to give you an example, I manage a lot of the bills I manage most all the finances in our household. It's not that my wife doesn't know how to manage money. She just delegates that responsibility to me because I have prior degrees in business. I'm an entrepreneur. I manage, budgets for my company. I've managed budgets for other companies. So I understand how to utilize money. So my expert power is then presented in the marriage where I now will use a skill that I've developed to benefit not only myself, but the marriage as well. And she relies on that expert power so we can establish a budget for our family. I utilize her expert power when we were first pregnant with our child. As young as we were at 18, we had children very young in college, and she was more of a caretaker than I was initially. She was a big figure in her church community as one of the eldest teenagers. So she had the responsibilities of leading the Bible study for the youth. She also is a big sister, so she took care of her younger sister and her nieces and nephews, cousins, not nieces and nephews. So when we had children, I relied on her expert power to educate me on proper techniques when it came to changing diapers, dressing my infant children, making sure that I was doing the things needed as a father. So she taught me based on her past experience. So expert power usually lies in the past experiences that the couple or the intimate partners are bringing into the relationship. Next, referent power. So referent power is enforced or utilized by the respect intimate partners have for one another. In my book, I talk about how my wife used her referent power when she chose to change her diet, adopt different hygienic practices that were rooted in natural products, and when she began to detoxify her body by drinking lemon water in the morning and just a lot of different techniques that she had done to or established in her life to be healthier. I was attracted to that. Her referent power was increased by the idolization I had for her because she was applying skills and techniques to her life to be healthier. And I admired that. So the admiration pulled me toward going to the farmer's market with her. Now selecting all organic vegetables and fruits and produce, making sure that we have limited or reduced our red meat intake. So her referent power came in me having a respect for the ways she chose to enhance her life, and in turn enhanced my life and our family's lives. The last type of power that I want to share with you guys is legitimate power. Legitimate power is rooted in titles and commitments. So when you get married, you are now embracing or accepting a title. That title needs to have a role and a job description to it in order for legitimate power to be in play. So I counsel a lot of couples from different, faith backgrounds, ethnicities, etc. And when I work with Jewish couples, I'm educated on the marital contract that they produce and present to their rabbi that usually will do the marriage. And that contract is that. It's a binding agreement on how both partners will conduct themselves. Legitimate power needs to be aligned with an agreement, not just the title of husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend. So making sure you and your partner outline what the expectations are for both partners will then produce naturally legitimate power. You have an understanding of what the roles are, and then with that understanding, you can hold each other accountable. So the night before my wife and I got married, we pulled out a composition book and just wrote out a plan for how we wanted to engage with each other. We wrote out the certain commitments. Some people call it your marital vows. I like to call it a contract, making sure that there's a binding agreement in play. And when you think about how we operate in our society, when you go buy a car and you haven't paid cash for it and you may lease or finance that car, there's a contract. When you take out a mortgage on a home, there's a contract. So every time you do business, there's usually some binding agreement. If you're going to engage in a marriage with a person, what better union than marriage would you want to have a contract? You're signing up to join your life with someone else. So before you just establish legitimate power off a title, make sure that legitimate power is rooted in some agreement or contract. So we've gone over the different types of powers that can impact a relationship: coercive power, reward power, expert power, referent power, and legitimate power. I talk more about these types of power in my online courses that you can access through our website, relationshipcounselingtools.com. I also talk about these powers in my book, Finding Your Relationship Fixed, The 4 Reasons Couples Seek Counseling. I hope that this video has provided you with some value. Please subscribe to my channel. My name is Chris Matthews. I'm your relationship coach and licensed marriage and family therapist, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side.
No, you can never go back. I gotta take it on the other side.